Hey guys, Lasona here, and I've got a Division video for you today. And today we're going to be looking at all of the consumables with the exception of the bullets and show you just how they affect your character. I'm talking stats, I'm talking math, we're going to get real in depth here guys. I really hope you enjoy it. The reason I decided to do this video was I've been playing a fair amount of the Division recently, and nobody seems to be using their consumables. And I also read an article that pretty much instructed the reader to stay away from the upgrades that make sodas last longer, or make energy bars last longer. And in my experience, having now done these tests with the consumables, that is a grave mistake, and that is something you will ignore at your own peril. So before you refuse to use consumables, you think they're a waste of time, give this video a watch, and I'm going to show you exactly why they're not. First up, we've got canned food, and it's pretty simple. I'm just going to read the description for you. When consumed, canned food increases healing effects on the player by 40%, and the effect lasts 30 seconds. That's pretty important to remember, because not only are you getting almost half as much healing in addition to what you're normally getting, it's also going to last for 30 seconds, so it can stack. So you can use a med kit and you can use your heal skill, and you're going to get 40% extra from both of those. So what I did was I just ran out in front of some enemies and I started taking some hits so I could measure exactly how much health I was going to lose and gain. So here I'm going to use my health skill. And my base heal, according to my stats, is 1326, 1326 HP. Now realize that this is going to be different for you depending on how you have your character built, depending on what skills you have on your weapons and whatnot. But for me, it was 1326. So I did the same thing again, but this time, before healing, I decided to take some canned food. And I wanted to see how much bigger that bar got, and then I actually did some math. So you can see here when I heal, it's actually almost an entire bar, which is huge. So my base heal is 1326. My canned food adds an extra 40% of healing on top of that, for a grand total of 1856.4 HP. Next up, I decided to look at the energy bar. When consumed, the energy bar instantly removes all negative status effects on the player and protects the player from all status effects for 5 seconds. Now that is actually pretty cool because, as you'll see in the coming clip, a disorientation grenade that most of the rioters will throw at you lasts about 5 seconds. So you can go ahead and take this bar when you're in the cloud, it'll remove the disorientation, and you can just sit in that cloud and nothing will happen to you. It's also good to point out here as well that you cannot use 2 consumables at once. You can also not use 2 consumables in a row. That big red bar in the middle, that's a cooldown. So the grenade gets thrown and I go ahead and I take that energy bar. Immediately the disorientation is removed and I run around in the smoke for good measure to see if it stays. And it does. It actually gives you a nice little warning beep. And if you turn around, you'll notice that 5 seconds is about how long that grenade lasts, so it's perfectly timed. Next up is the soda. When consumed, soda reduces all cooldowns on skills by 30%, and this effect lasts 30 seconds. So here I go ahead and find a blank wall just so you can see how quick that little health bar on my Q recharges. My base heal time is 41.1 seconds. Along with the 30% heal time reduction from the soda, and my grand total is 29.47 seconds. That is not bad. That's almost 11 seconds more that I can be out running around using my skills. And it doesn't just work for healing. It works for all Q and E skills, which is actually really impressive. Finally, the best one, which took the most testing, was the water. When consumed, water increases damage dealt to elite enemies by 20%. The effect lasts 20 seconds. When I started testing this, I realized that I didn't know what an elite enemy was. Was it the purple bars? Was it the gold bars? Was it both? So I went ahead and tested it on both types of enemies. Here we have a purple bar enemy. So I went ahead and took a shot at him. I did 869 damage with no water against the purple bar enemy. That's a per bullet damage of 869 no matter what. Yes, that is armor, but for our tests, as you'll see later, it doesn't matter. The buff is applied on armor or on the enemy health. Now, you can see here, with water consumed on a purple bar enemy, I still get a per bullet damage of 869. So therefore, water does not work on purple bar enemies. It must only be the gold, which is the next thing I tested. Firstly, I wanted to make sure that my damage was still the same between the purple bar and the gold bar. And here you can clearly see that my per bullet damage is still 869 against a gold barred enemy. The only thing that's left is to take the water and see just how much extra damage I do. Look at that, 1043. That's a per bullet damage of 1043. Without water, I did 869, and with the water, I did 1043. That is a huge damage increase per bullet when you have a submachine gun or an assault rifle. Now, what exactly does this mean? This means that I got even more damage on the hardest enemy that there is in the Division. That is absolutely huge. In fact, Ubisoft and Massive actually rounded it up. 20% of 869 is not the difference that we show here at 174, it's actually 173.8, but that's neither here nor there. All that I'm telling you is they're rounding up the damage for you no matter what. There's no reason not to be using these consumables, and there's no reason not to be using the requisite upgrades in your base of operations that lengthen the time that these upgrades take. The moral of the story here, ladies and gentlemen, is that The Division is much more of an RPG than a shooter. In fact, it's more like World of Warcraft than it's like Destiny. And in fact, you wouldn't raid in World of Warcraft without health potions and food, and you shouldn't fight enemies in The Division without using your consumables. Having them there and not using them, you're only hurting yourself and your teammates. That said, I hope everybody has a good week, and I hope this video has kind of opened your eyes a little bit to one of the more nuanced parts of The Division. Thanks, guys. See you on the other side.
Target acquired. Cannons prime.